Morning, Bill.
Good morning, Randall.
I don't know if you read your email yet.
Just about to.
I got an email from Abby, and I know that she sent one to you. Since you haven't read your email, I want to try and nip this in the bud and explain what this email's about. She's accusing me of sexual harassment. What had happened, let me just give you some back history first. First of all, my wife and I are having marital problems, and during that time we'd separated, and Abby and I, because we'd seen each other and we liked each other, decided, let's see what can happen.
How long ago was this?
This was 6 months ago, all told. Last 2 weeks, it's really become very stressed, and that's why production's down. I know that you know these numbers, but the problem being is she's fighting on everything. She's not wanting to work with me. She's not wanting to give me a hand with anything. I'm managing it alone by myself, and then she's threatening me. Now, this is in response to another email that I sent her, which she refers to in there. Here's this email, and let me explain. Right now, I'm just saying, look, if you don't want to get back together with me, I wrote her an email and said, why don't we get back together? Well, she didn't respond positively, so I said, fine, look, if you're uncomfortable in our team, I'll do everything that I can to help facilitate you moving to a different group. I wanted to help her. I wanted to solve this problem, and instead, she writes me with these threatening things like, you need to change departments, I'm going to sue you, I'm going to sue the company, and take everybody down.
Okay, well, whether anybody sues anybody, we'll get to that. First of all, why are you guys using company email to communicate about personal issues? How long have you worked here?
I've worked here 6 years.
6 years. And in 6 years, you don't know our policies is not to discuss personal issues through email?
I know our policies, and I apologize for that.
Well,
but I think this is the issue that we need to address, not about the emails.
Well, but it's part and parcel, because it's the whole picture here is that you two have done something you shouldn't have done, which is carry on an intimate relationship. How intimate, I don't know, and I don't know who else knows this. But that intimacy has caused problems, not just in production, but now potentially lawsuits, and certainly personalities are involved, and that's going to spread like wildfire.
So it wouldn't matter if I sent her an email or not. And in fact, you can see she's being passive-aggressive by the way she's sending emails instead of coming to you with me and having a sit-down.
Well,
why aren't we having a face-to-face about this?
I don't think that we should be having a face-to-face about your relationship with Abby. I do think we should have a face-to-face about your relationship with her vis-a-vis the office, and that you shouldn't have one. And I don't think we should be having a...
We don't have one.
We're not a marriage counseling company.
No, I'm not wanting to...
Well, but that's why I have no interest in having a conversation between you and Abby about your relationship.
But look, you're married too, right?
Yes, I am.
You understand what the situation is in
No,
marriages. I mean, ups and downs.
No.
You go through these peaks and valleys.
There's a very different interaction here. I'm married for 25 years to the same woman, and I have never had an affair at the office and discuss it in email. So let's not get into my personal problems and my personal life. Let's stay right here. First of all, as my employee, what I really have a problem with, and I want you to tell me right now, that you will cease any more conversation of a personal matter with Abby via email. Promise me that.
I can promise you that.
Good. Let's start that. Secondly, we're going to get Abby in. We're going to sit down and talk about your production. Okay, I'm going to have to address this with Abby directly since she copied me. And the first person I'm going to call after we have this conversation today, you and I, is to call Human Resources and find out what they think we should do.
Well, exactly. I think that we need to get rid of her. She at least needs to go to another division. I mean, because she's not willing to work with me anymore. And you know how productive we were before.
And that's what she claims of you. So there's always two sides to each story. So what I want to do here is, first of all, is talk to Human Resources and find out what we should do, what they think we should do. And I'm telling you that as a manager, you know that's my first call. Secondly, I'm going to talk to Abby separately. Privately.
Look at the things that she's saying in here, though. Look, this is not about your decision, which as soon as someone says this is not about, leading me on, she's talking about this. This is what it's all about.
They're just words. It's an emotional.
She's being emotional.
It's an emotional.
She's not being professional. That's my point.
Of course not. It's an emotional reaction put in paper. Okay. So what we're going to do is address this separately. I'm going to have Abby sit in here without you, go over what. I'm not this marital, your marital problems with your wife or her relationship with you, but talk about her working with you and see what we have to do to go forward from here. Now,
we can't work together. I can tell you right now. I can guarantee that.
It's clear from the two emails that neither one of you can. So obviously, we're going to have to do something about that. Who goes where, who goes when, we'll have to decide. I'm not deciding it now. I'm not deciding without talking.
Why are you smiling about this? I don't see why it's fun.
I'm not smiling about anything. And what I'm saying very clearly to you is, I'm going to go through an analysis of the situation before I make decisions. And I'm not going to listen to your decision or your reaction to this and say it's the right one or the only one, because it's not. I'm sure she's got her own version of this. Doesn't she?
I'm sure she does.
Okay.
She does from right there. But you can see that she's reacting
I'm not
as the jilted lover. She's been hurt, and that's what it's all about.
Randall, I'm not saying you're right, or
Fat
I'm not
Chance
saying
getting
you're
back with
wrong.
her.
What I'm saying to you very simply and clearly is, I'm disappointed that a manager of 6 years in this company at Hypetech has let this happen and not come to me sooner saying that there was a problem brewing, or that you had even been in the situation. To come to me now, obviously you had to. If she hadn't written the email, this might have gone on for more time than it already has. I'm disappointed in you in that, number one. Number two, I'm not going to take this at face value. I'm going to speak to Abby.
But I want to hear what she has to say. Are you going to talk to me about what she has to say, or is that going to happen when the three of us sit down?
I sincerely doubt that we're going to sit down in a conversation to go over your relationship with her, because it's a little bit too complex right now.
I don't want to talk about the relationship. I want to talk about the work relationship.
These emails are all about the relationship. Both of them. They're all about the relationship. So there's no way a conversation is not going to be about the relationship. I have no interest in doing that. I have interest in two things. One, fixing the problem, and two, moving on. That's what my job is. That's what we're going to do. We're going to make our numbers this quarter despite the recent downturn, and we're going to do it with either you and or Abby working together if we can resolve it, and if we can't, one of you is going to be somewhere else. I think the meeting with Randall went as well as it could have, given his agitation and the state of how he felt and what he was trying to tell me. It was pretty big stuff to him. I don't think it's too late to prevent litigation to the company. I think that the steps that can be taken are really preliminary right now in what has to happen, and a lot of investigation and separation of parties and so on. But I think that, no, you can stop the litigation. I think that it might have gone too far about potential outcomes, but I was trying to get him to stop. I didn't want to go any further in conversation with him until I got more of the facts, because I don't believe that he would have been the only valid view, and I wanted to get both of them before we made any actions or presumptions. But I also did want to make him understand very clearly that what he did was really wrong, what he was continuing to do was really wrong, and I wanted to make sure that it didn't get any wronger. If he saw her in the hallway or saw anyone, I almost thought it was better that he leave for the day, frankly, and sort of separate everything out until we had a chance to find out what the facts were. I don't think it was premature to mention termination of transfers, because those are natural outcomes for these kinds of situations, and many companies have policies that are already stated in human resource documents. Certainly employees sign these things and probably don't read them, but they're there that say you cannot use email for those kinds of purposes, number one. Number two, you cannot, if you in fact are caught at a management level, I'm not sure in this case if it was high enough, but certainly that one of the outcomes of that is termination. Certainly transfer is extremely likely. The managers of these organizations have lots of leeway to protect everybody and everything as long as they follow the guidelines. So I don't think it was premature. I don't think that people can be terminated automatically for having inter-office relationships, but I do think that there are certainly guidelines in every organization that lay out what can and cannot happen, or should and should not happen, rather, and more specifically tell you that what's going to happen if you do, if you're caught in this relationship or if it comes to a head. There are very general reasons in employment documents or employment relationship documents that talk about things, but very specifically these days there's relationships, male and female, or same-sex, whatever, where you could have those things laid out and you should be following them. I think that the most positive outcome that could come of this right now, it would be nothing less than separation of the two, that there's no way they can stay together, not for their own sake or the company's sake. I'm not certain that either one could even work in the same building. As much as I may want to believe that they were capable of becoming adult about this, they were adults that got themselves into this. So I think that I took a stronger stance as a manager, because I think that's the way it should be handled, and that the outcome is going to end up with one is going to be gone and the other is going to be here, or both will be gone, frankly. I was concerned about the use of email because it is easily it's a virus-like, that it can be sent to many people very quickly without fact and with much fiction, which these two emails could have had in them both, number one. Number two, it doesn't have a lot of validity. It can get outside the company very quickly and start to harm the company's market view, if you will. And I think that it's very, very indefensible. I don't think that people can lay out enough in an email, even if it were true, to actually give the side, so that whatever's in there is so totally one-sided. It's sort of like a newspaper article that's not founded on fact. It's too easily read and too easily influenceable.